Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I have some pretty explosive news regarding the Engineer class in Battlefield 4. I've got a long list of all the new gadgets that are going to be in the upcoming game. Some are new, some are old, but overall, there are a lot more options available to the Engineer in the upcoming game, and it's going to allow you to pick and choose how you want to approach different types of combat and just how you really want to play the class in general. So to start things off, the RPG and the SMAW are making a return. They're probably going to act the same way that they currently do in Battlefield 3, where they're going to be really effective at taking out ground vehicles, be them tanks, be them jeeps, but there's also a pretty large twist on them, and that is that they can now lock on to vehicles if they are laser designated. So if you're working with a recon buddy of yours, you guys are working in tandem, and you see a helicopter up in the sky, tell him to bust out his portable laser designator, have him light that thing up for you, and all of a sudden, your RPG becomes an effective anti-air weapon, which is a huge change and a gigantic upgrade for those two particular weapons. And what I like about this is not only is it going to make those two gadgets way more effective, I mean, that's pretty much without saying, but it's also going to increase the incentive for recon players to run the portable laser designator. As a recon, knowing that there are going to be a lot more gadgets out there that can take advantage of a lock-on and can actually use the laser designator to its fullest, I'm going to be a lot more likely to lock on to targets, because currently in Battlefield 3, the only real reason you would want to use a SOFLAM is to take advantage of the Javelin, allow the Javelins to lock onto maybe like a helicopter and then blow them out of the sky. But not a lot of people take advantage of the Javelin because the SOFLAM is just so encumbersome to use and hardly anyone uses it. And so now that there is going to be a larger saturation of gadgets that can take advantage of the portable laser designator, I have a feeling that more recons are going to take advantage of it, and that teamwork kind of aspect of the game is going to be a lot more improved. So the next gadget on our list is the FGM-172. This is a wire-guided rocket, and it's pretty much acts the same way as the stationary tow missile does in Battlefield 3. And this is going to be great for players out there that are looking for a challenge, but if you get good with them and you get enough skill and you play with them long enough, you can do some pretty crazy maneuvers with these things. I remember seeing some great montages back in the day where people would be sniping helicopters from across the map. They would be doing loop-de-loops, and at the very end of it, just slam right into an attack helicopter. So if you like a skillful rocket launcher in the upcoming game, this is probably going to be the gadget for you. The MBT Law is the next gadget, and it is a guided homing missile weapon for taking out enemy land vehicles, but the twist on it is that you have to achieve and maintain a lock-on until the missile reaches its target. This is a new mechanic that DICE is adding in to Battlefield 4, where they're going to have a couple of gadgets or rocket launchers like this, where even though you lock on into it initially, you can't just fire and let it go. You have to sit there and maintain the lock. So if a tank goes behind cover or they kill you before it reaches and blows up on the vehicle, it's going to probably fly off in a random direction, and you're not going to get the hit marker or destroy the vehicle that you were trying to aim at. And so this is definitely a very interesting twist on lock-on missiles, where you really have to leave yourself more exposed than the 1 or 2 seconds for the initial lock. You have to really stand there, leave yourself out in the open, and hope that no one kills you during the entire process. The Javelin is also making a reappearance, and it is described as a powerful surface-to-surface missile weapon, which after a lock-on is acquired, it will guide itself towards its target. It also has an increased effectiveness against laser-designated targets. So this is kind of confusing to me, because we just heard that the Law, you need to sit there, lock on initially, and then maintain the lock for it to reach its target. But now the Javelin is sounding like it's just like it's going to act like it currently does in Battlefield 3, where you lock onto it and then you let it fly and you can run away. You don't have to stand there and maintain the lock. So my question is, why would you want to use the Law over the Javelin? It could be maybe that the Javelin doesn't hit as hard as the Law. Maybe that initial lock-on takes longer for the Javelin. We'll kind of just have to wait and see what the differences are here and there. But as of right now, the Javelin is kind of looking like the superior pick. So now we get into the anti-air missiles, and this is where things get a little bit interesting. The Stinger is described as an anti-air missile with a focused targeting system for locking onto and guiding the missile towards long-range targets. This kind of sounds like it currently does in Battlefield 3, where you lock on, you fire it, and it's going to fly towards an enemy air vehicle. But where things get interesting is where we look at the description for the ILGA, which has a targeting system that covers a bigger area in front of the weapon. Once a lock-on is achieved, it needs to be maintained until the missile has reached its target. If the lock-on is lost, it can be reacquired and the missile might still reach its destination. And so after reading this description, my gut feeling is that the Stinger is going to be good for taking out helicopters, while the ILGA is going to be useful for taking out jets. The Stinger missile will probably work the same way that it currently does in Battlefield 3, where it has a limited range, so it's not really great for taking out those really high up jet pilots, but for helicopters, it's fantastic. You lock on really quickly, you duck behind cover as you fire the rocket so that the helicopter can't blow you up with all his artillery, and then you can go on your way. But as for the ILGA, because you do need to maintain your lock-on, I'm assuming this means that it has a much larger lock-on radius, so that even if a jet is way across the map, as long as you have line of sight on it, and as long as you can maintain the lock and the jet pilot isn't good enough to break the lock, then the missile is going to reach its destination. And so finally, hopefully, if these definitions are any clue as to how things are going to work, infantry units are finally going to have some sort of gadget in the game that will be able to take out enemy jets. So we're also seeing a reappearance of the repair tool, the EOD bot, and the AT mines. From the description that we've seen, they look to be exactly the same like they currently are in Battlefield 3, but we're also getting a new gadget called the M2 SLAM, and this is essentially a claymore but for enemy vehicles. And so what it sounds like is that instead of having to lay down AT mines in a road where a great tank driver can spot those from a mile away, you can place this down maybe behind some rubble or just around the corner, so as the tank driver rolls by the rubble, it will hopefully disable it or just flat out destroy it. I'm not sure if it's going to be just as effective as the AT mines, but it sounds pretty cool in concept. I mean, I have never seen one of these things in real life, but from the little icon that they have, it literally looks like a claymore, but for an enemy vehicle. So I cannot wait to see how that plays out. So yeah, that is the list of all the new gadgets that we can expect for the Engineer class in Battlefield 4. But what I like about this so much is that because there are so many more options and that we can pick and choose whatever combination, whatever two combinations that we want, we can really tailor our playstyle how we want to play. So if you want to be someone who just destroys whatever vehicle you can come across, you can have a combination of an RPG and a Stinger missile. If you want to be someone who just lays down a bunch of mines on the field, you can run the AT mines and the M2 SLAM. You can really tailor how you want to play an Engineer class in Battlefield 4, which is just fantastic. But that is about it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what gadget you are most excited about. Do you like the changes that are happening to the Stinger missile and the new variations of the weapons? Let me know down below. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.